As much as we all like to rip on men, this is time to take some accountability.
Can you read this one from
Andrew Tate? Would you falsely accuse a man of? Would you falsely accuse a man of for?
There's a grape emoji, but it's not showing it.
Oh.
So
for
essay.
$100,000, for $1 million. What about if you could go back in time and stop Donald Trump for becoming president? I would not falsely accuse a man of rape for any amount of money. That's disgusting.
Or even going back in time and Trump wouldn't be president.
I mean, if there's a way for Trump to, I mean, he got democratically elected, so as much as I don't like him,
that's like misinformation. Why?
No, sorry, he got.
Why are you air quoting that?
I just don't like Trump. Okay, but anyways, he got democratically elected, so I wouldn't go back in time and prevent that from happening.
Okay, what about you? Would you?
I would never.
Can I just have you scoot into the table just a little bit?
Yeah.
You wouldn't what?
I would never falsely accuse someone.
Okay, even for money, even
No
a million.
circumstance.
Okay, what about you?
Falsely accuse someone? I literally just got back.
Would you falsely accuse a man of SA for $100,000?
No.
$1 million? To prevent Trump from becoming president? Okay, what about you?
No.
No.
Nothing?
Oh, okay. Okay. So, to prevent Trump from becoming president, I'm like, he's already a felon. So, what does that even make?
Lawfare, New York State lawfare, and it was petty financial.
I'm just saying, he's already a felon. So, what good does that make if he choose to make it for him?
Whoa, oh my God, why do you got to go there? First off, no, he didn't.
So you're saying he's not a felon?
Fake news.
All 34
So you're saying he's not a felon?
No, I'm responding to her. She says Trump was never
You
convicted.
didn't make that clear, that's why.
She won the case, and she.
You don't even. It was a civil case, massive lawfare going on against Trump. He wasn't convicted of.
As far as I'm concerned,
he wasn't convicted of. He had 30 charges.
Okay.
There are tons of problems with E. Jean Carroll's allegations against him, as I outlined a second ago. And just think about it. If somebody said the allegation is that she was in Bergdorf Goodman, he went into Bergdorf Goodman, and he was asking her a question about lingerie. Before she knew it, he had her in a dressing room and was sexually assaulting her. The jury found him liable. Again, not a criminal case. The statute has expired on that. If that had happened to him and she had filed the suit within a timely basis, he could have pulled surveillance tapes, let's say, anything. There would have been some record, even on the street, to see whether Donald Trump was walking into Bergdorf Goodman. None of that was possible for him. Then the reason she was able to bring that case now is because a Democrat who hates Trump pushed to change the law here in New York State to allow these so-called survivors of these old sexual assaults to bring civil cases long past the date when the statute had expired. I mean, all of this has the stench of politics all over it.
They were like financial. He forgot to. I don't know the details on that. It was completely political theater, lawfare. There's some like financial. I don't know, what was it, Nick? He paid for something or didn't do proper accounting on some. Whatever.
Breaking legal news. A New York appeals court has thrown out the massive civil fraud penalty against Donald Trump. It's a total that exceeded $500 million, including interest, after a New York judge found him liable for fraud last year. The appeals court calling that penalty excessive now. Joining us, NBC's Gary Grumbach. Gary, this is literally just coming into us, but remind people what we're even talking about here and what this ruling actually says.
So this is information that Donald Trump and his sons gave to people like financial lenders and banks, information about how much money they actually had. And you'll remember there's a lot of conversation about doubling the size of the penthouse in Trump Tower and those types of information. We now know that the more than $500 million of which the judge in New York City said that he was having to owe back to these folks, and he no longer has to do that because an appeals court has overturned that. This has been on pause for months and months. These arguments happened 11 months ago, and we're just now getting a decision. So this has been a long time coming here.
So would you say Trump has never sexually harassed or assaulted a woman ever?
Well, I couldn't say that definitively because I don't know. But there
Signs
hasn't
point to
beyond
yes.
a reasonable signs point to yes. Okay, what prevents somebody from accusing you of having like been a pedophile? Signs point to yes.
Nothing, but I'm saying
Okay.
there's a lot of claims against Trump, and there's a lot of charges that have been brought up
You
against
realize
him.
Trump is like the most hated man in the world, and like
As
I
he
wonder
should.
why.
yeah, well, so there's
He's said things himself,
There's
like-
massive amounts of political motivation. Do you think people just don't lie?
People lie. What is that pointing
People
to?
will murder people for like
I mean,
totally petty
billionaires
reasons.
are never good people.
People will absolutely lie about a bunch of things if it's politically expedient to like make a false claim about a politician. We saw this happen with a bunch of politicians, and it happened with Democrats too. But as it relates to Trump, as it relates to Kavanaugh, these claims, like if you actually look into these cases, and look, there are valid claims of these crimes, but if you would look at these specific allegations, these are like happened 20, 30 years ago, and the claims are so ridiculously vague. It's completely lawfare. These women are politically motivated, and they're kind of mentally unwell.
You ain't lying.
So, okay, most politicians don't have as many charges and claims about relating to like
Donald
sexual.
Trump is the preeminent politician for the past decade.
Most presidents haven't had that many charges and claims relating to sexual harassment and assault.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
I'm still talking. Hold on.
Oh, let me just one point. There's a massive political machine that wanted to do pretty much everything they possibly could to ensure that President Trump could not become president again. Massive political machine to do it. So they tried to assassinate him more than 2 times. It was twice, but I think maybe even other attempts. So look, we don't know the truth of what happened here, but if you actually looked at the specific person you're referencing, and then especially if we look at this Kavanaugh thing, I don't know if you recall what happened with the Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh, massive political incentive to lie about this.
Look at what Trump was up against. A legion of brainwashed women that never thought for themselves a day in their lives, or even questioned what was being fed to them by the mainstream media. The crazy part is, they think we're the brainwashed ones.
As far as my understanding goes, and that I'm aware, there was a woman who brought a charge against Trump about him.
A civil claim, which, by the way, the threshold for evidence, so in criminal cases, it's beyond a reasonable doubt. The threshold is far lower. Not to mention, who knows, the jury selection in New York, massive political interest in making sure this person was prosecuted. Or not prosecuted, excuse me, found guilty of this. Like, would you acknowledge that somebody could be, well, in civil cases, it's found liable, I guess, but even in found guilty for criminal cases, I don't think they use the term guilt in civil cases. Would you agree that you could be found guilty of a crime, but not have actually committed the crime? Like, is it possible?
Yeah, false incarceration happens all the time.
Exonerations all the time. We see this all the time, especially if this is something that's important to you. We actually see black men frequently thrown under the bus by white women who either experience regret or social shame for having had a consensual sexual encounter with a black man. There's all kinds of reasons why these fake allegations are made.
There's also a lot of true allegations.
Sure, there are absolutely. This crime is absolutely something that happens, but we see a disproportionate impact on black men, for example, where they've been in prison for years and years and years, and they have their life ruined by a false allegation of this sort.
I mean, again, like when it comes to Trump, I'm just like, when I'm considering, okay, what could be true, and I see a large amount of claims brought up against Trump regarding sexual harassment, sexual assault, and I've also like heard the statements he's made, like, oh, grab them by, that kind of thing that he said. Also, like the weird stuff the weird like ways he's acted towards women. Actually, in the high school I went to, they had like a school trip where they visited like a Trump convention, and he like touched one of the girls slightly inappropriately, and it became like a whole article.
Oh, you'd have to point to Joe Biden being a creepy weirdo.
Yeah,
dude.
I don't like Joe Biden. I don't like Joe Biden,
Great.
so that's definitely not something that.
Okay.
Anyways, but
all right.
Like when I'm evaluating, okay, what kind of person is Trump, and I see the amount of these claims, I've seen his statements, and I've seen his behaviors. Oh, that's kind of the direction I go in evaluating that. Like, there's an overall pattern, there's an overall trend.
Okay, but I think you would need to provide, at least me, you need to provide evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. And these civil cases, the level of evidence required is very, very low. There's massive political, shut up back there. There's massive political incentive to get this guy, muddy this guy's name up. It's a political hit job. This happens on both sides of the aisle, these political hit jobs. It's a really effective way to tarnish somebody's reputation. It's been done on both sides of the aisles. Trump obviously has like a massive bullseye on him. So ultimately, nobody was really there when this happened. I personally, after having extensively reviewed the actual complaint and actually hearing like this woman explain everything that's going on, there's like inconsistencies in her story. She doesn't seem totally there. There's massive incentive for this to be a political hit job.
But
and
yeah, I also do believe he probably did something. He probably committed some form
the
of
evidence. There's no evidence for it.
The evidence I'm pointing to is just the amount of claims that have been brought up against him, the things he said, and his behaviors. It points to the fact that he's likely made women uncomfortable.
You're a victim. Here we go, CSI.
Well, hold on. Making women uncomfortable
Sexually
while
harassed
wrong
women.
isn't a crime.
Sexually harassed women.
Okay, but now we're shifting the goalposts here. First, it was Trump's arrest, which, by the way,
Again,
it wasn't even true in the civil case. He hasn't been convicted of any sort of criminal offense at all related to any sexual assault. There was a civil case. Again, the burden of evidence, it's way lower. What is it? A preponderance of the evidence. Preponderance of the evidence. Massive political bias in the New York, I believe, is in the New York State court system.
So did that not happen?
There.
Did he, for sure, definitively not?
It's unfalsifiable. I can't definitively say one way or the other if it happened. But in terms of like, do you believe in innocent until proven guilty?
I mean, like when
you don't believe in innocent until proven guilty, like the bedrock foundation of the American justice system?
Sure I do.
Okay.
So that was a lie. I'm sorry. I don't believe her. I think for the most part, most women think just like her. Guilty until proven innocent in a court of public opinion. That's why most women hate Trump. They muddied his name, and that's all it takes. Public enemy number one.
When it comes to like sexual assault, I think it is important to believe victims.
It's important to believe.
Like if a woman comes forward and says she's been sexually assaulted, I think she shouldn't be like ignored. I think
it should be explored by, hopefully she goes to the police.
Right.
And hopefully the police does a thorough investigation and but why would you immediately jump the gun to should be believed?
Well, again, like I would advocate for what you're saying, that should be investigated and explored.
So your own personal standard is not innocent until proven guilty.
I believe in. Okay, hold on. I believe in innocent. Again, I'm not
can
saying.
You straighten your mic
I'm
a
not
little bit?
saying the
Straighten your
person
mic.
she's accusing is definitively guilty, but I'm saying that should be paid attention to and investigated, and that you shouldn't immediately.
Yes,
invalidate her.
absolutely. If a
Okay,
woman
so we're on the
brings-
same page about
if
that.
a woman brings a claim that something's happened, absolutely, the police should do a thorough investigation. I think she should go to the police. I don't think going to social media should be your first, that shouldn't be your first go-to. I think you should immediately go to the police for the sake of, if there's any like DNA evidence, absolutely. That should be like the first thing you should do. Try to do it immediately.
Right.
But
that's what I mean when I say like giving victims
do you
attention.
think all women who make these allegations, they should always be believed? Like it's always true?
Well, it's not technically always true. Like a woman could lie about that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which is why it needs to be investigated and explored, which is where we're on the same page. So I don't see like why you're arguing against me right now.
Well, you brought it up. I'm asking if your own threshold is you believe in innocent until proven guilty. In this case, she brought it to a civil court, and even in the civil court, he was not found liable for. There was some other low-level thing that he was found liable for, but it definitely wasn't.
Was it? I'm just curious.
I don't know the exact. I forget the exact thing, but it definitely wasn't.
What do you think of the first charge here that Donald Trump raped E. Jean Carroll, the allegation that Carroll made, the jury finding that he did not? They're saying no to rape, but yes to sexual assault. Where do you think the disconnect is there, Lisa?
I think the disconnect is that E. Jean Carroll, and Katie, I'm going to ask for your pardon here because I'm about to get graphic. E. Jean Carroll said that she couldn't really see whether Donald Trump was penetrating her with his genitalia. She knew that he had first inserted his fingers into her vagina. She felt him do that. And then she thought that she was penetrated by his penis, but she couldn't say for sure, in part because she couldn't see it. And so that uncertainty may have been part of what motivated the jury's verdict on the rape count. That notwithstanding, she was so unambiguous about the sexual abuse, and that plus the corroborating evidence that Ron pointed to.
I think there was some, look, he was found liable for like what, some other form of essay or something.
And you're kind of just dismissed. Are you dismissing?
I'm not, well, it's factually true that the totally unbiased New York justice system and the jurists in that jurisdiction, they did find him liable.
They found him liable for sexual assault, which means they...
By a preponderance of the evidence.
Okay, well, wasn't your whole thing about like courts finding someone liable for something that is beyond reasonable doubt?
She said that he did something. That's the extent of it.
And they found evidence, which is why he's liable?
What was the evidence?
Well, I mean, I don't know the exact court case.
You serious?
But if he was found liable for it, there must have been evidence.
Was she said he did it. Do you think that that's a good threshold for finding someone liable or guilty of some
there was probably some sort of evidence if he was found liable for that.
What's the evidence?
Well, again, I don't know the exact court case.
You are really dumb, for real.
Okay, but if you want me to believe that somebody has committed like a really severe thing, I want some degree of evidence.
What evidence is a woman in that situation supposed to have at that point? Like if it happened, was she supposed to like take photos somehow? Like what?
Oh, I mean, like not waiting 3 decades before making a complaint, waiting until it was perfectly politically convenient and expedient to only bring this claim when there was some political motive.
Mm-hmm. Okay, look, well, what you're saying is that we don't know exactly what happened.
Sure, we don't.
And I can say that too. But again, all I'm saying when it comes to Trump,
I wouldn't default to the man did it absent evidence.
The reason I'm saying that it's likely that Trump has sexually harassed or sexually assaulted a woman at some point is because the amount of claims that have come against him, the things he said, and his overall...
They can bring it to the police, and trust me, there's plenty of jurisdictions where the prosecutors would absolutely love to prosecute Trump for various sex crimes. They would love to do it because it would be politically expedient, because there's massive political bias in most, especially in like he lived in New York State the majority of his life. Democrat state, Democrat prosecutors.
So why can't they prosecute
him? Huh?
Why can't they prosecute him?
I don't know. Maybe for lack of evidence.
Have there not been presidents with lower approval ratings than Trump, and like politicians with lower approval ratings? Like even in other countries, like most politicians don't end up having that sheer amount of claims up against them.
You would have, I mean, look, I'm not aware of every single claim that's been made against him. What we can judge based off is the singular civil case that there was.
But as far as I'm aware, there's been more claims and accusations brought up against him than just that one civil case.
Okay.
And so if there's many claims of something that come out, then that points to the fact that that could potentially be true.
Okay. So if a bunch of people, like if I, in some political cabal, was scheming and doing a conspiracy, and we're like, you know what? Shona, she's politically dangerous. She We cannot allow her to come to political power. We're going to slander and destroy her reputation. We're going to do every single thing we can to try to paint her in such a way that will taint the opinion and view of her. And you know what? I'm going to get 20 men to say that you grabbed their tushies back at UCSB 30 years ago. Just because a lot of people say something like said that it happened, does it mean it actually happened?
It doesn't mean it actually happened, but when you have a lot of, what I would say to that is that there's been a lot of politicians that people want to plot against and want to take down and who people hate. And this is not, it's like the way that things have happened with Trump has not happened in other instances that I've seen.
I guess she's never heard of Bill Clinton and his slick willy ways. It's sad what Trump derangement can do to your brain. I hope she gets the help that she needs.
That's what I call a chain reaction.
Manifest my own destiny. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. The perfect recipe. May they remember me. My words will live on. I'm guided by an energy, a flame. Hold it close to you. Check out my melodies. It's the media that's been leading you. I'll show you a thing. Misdirection, what's the message? They don't want you to win.
As much as we all like to rip on men, this is time to take some accountability.